What's up, Heather?
What's up, B?
Welcome back to Tortured Bourbon, the show where we explore the depths of bourbon so you don't have to. Unless you want to, in which case, pour yourself a glass and come on over.
Honestly, just pour yourself a glass, because why
do it.
not? So today, we are continuing our deep dive into Maker's Mark with their wood finishing series, specifically the 2024 The Heart release and the 2025 The Keeper's release. And I keep thinking of Game of Thrones. It sounds very Game of Thronesian. But these aren't your average Maker's bottles. They are more like a director's cut. They're more intense, they're more nuanced, and they even kind of have a few tasting surprises.
And if you enjoy our bourbon adventures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook. We drop 3 episodes a week, every week. So if you have any ideas for episodes, if you could please send them on one of those Insta thingies to her, and then we can figure it out from there. Because, I mean...
DM me.
Good Lord. Any ideas? Any ideas? Anything you want to see. We'll even say it was your idea. We'll
call you out.
We're not proud.
We'll even use any name. If you want to be Captain America Batman, we'll call you that. I'm saying if you want to have a pseudonym, go for it.
Captain America Batman. Sure.
It was on the fly, B. Leave me alone.
Okay, fair.
Anyway,
Captain
if you want...
America Batman.
Fine, I'll be more true to myself. If you would like to use a pseudonym, then please let us know.
Before we get into the specifics of Captain America Batman, let's talk about what the wood finishing series is all about. Maker's Mark takes their classic bourbon and finish it with custom wood staves to enhance specific flavor profiles.
Right. It's like they took their regular bourbon and they sent it to a finishing school. They taught it new tricks while keeping its core character intact.
Exactly. Each release focuses on a different aspect of bourbon making and each team that brings the bottle to life, giving us some unique flavor profiles. And I'm excited.
Yeah. I thought this was really cool that they
Yes.
decided to highlight each part of it and the teams that do it. So first up, we have the Heart release, which is from 2024. This one honors the distillery team. These are the folks who are at the heart of crafting Maker's Mark. So what are the specific details on this one, B?
Well, the proof's at 111.7. Has a mash bill of 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. So that is, unless memory is completely jumped, that's their
standard.
That's Maker's. That's Maker's. Now the stave profile. Here we go. It's finished with 10 virgin French oak staves. Virgin French oak staves.
Has to be.
Not Moulin Rouge French staves, but virgin.
I don't think anybody would want any oak that came out of that place.
I would.
In your bourbon?
Heck yeah.
You have to get a shot afterwards.
I've had several. Half the batch for 5 weeks and the other half for 9 weeks, then blended. I had to have all those shots to travel abroad. It's fine.
So you might not be up to date, B.
That's fair.
You might want to check that out.
That stuff from Moulin Rouge goes back centuries. We're all fine with it.
Everything's fine. Everyone's fine. All
You're
right.
telling me if we went to Paris, you wouldn't want to go to the Moulin Rouge?
I would absolutely want to go. I wouldn't want to take a floorboard and soak it in my bourbon and then drink it.
I think that would be awesome.
Actually, I would totally do that.
You would so do it.
Totally do that.
It's kind of like
I
when
love
they
how I
took.
try to act like I would.
It's kind of like when they
Absolutely.
took the wood out of CBGBs and made guitars out of it. I mean, holy God, who wouldn't want that?
But you probably didn't lick it.
Yeah, not the CBGBs. No, that's a little different. No.
All right. So according to Maker's Mark,
Oh, can dancers at CBGBs. So according to
I
the...
think they're doing a little more than can dancing at Moulin Rouge. But anyway.
Okay, well, whatever.
All right. So what are we supposed to get here, B?
According to Maker's Mark, this relief offers...
This relief. It's both a release and a relief.
It is for me. It has this release. This should have toasted sweetness.
This thing here. Release, relief. This thing here.
It's a good song by Pearl Jam. Release.
Respond. No, I thought, release.
Release.
I was for some reason.
Not react, respond, release. That's a good song too, but
It is.
this show's about bourbon. Tortured bourbon.
Is it though?
Sometimes. The aroma from the heart?
Yeah.
The heart, yeah. This is the heart.
It's both from B's heart and the heart release.
The Moulin Rouge here is toasted sweetness, stone fruit with cocoa. Let's smell it.
That smells. Sounds good. I get sweetness.
Did you say I guess sweetness or I get sweetness?
I guess it's sweet.
And it has a very pleasant smell.
Yeah,
Now,
I was trying to articulate specifics, but it's very pleasant.
There's more cocoa than in their regular makers.
But it is not so cocoa forward that I would have probably pulled that out without that being in the aroma notes.
It would not. Me neither. Now, I do happen to have an expert on stone fruit.
You do.
I have an expert on stone fruit.
You do. Let's
pass this to the expert on stone fruit.
Are you getting
I
stone?
get it.
Don't get the stone fruit. Okay.
But
I don't either, to be honest.
I get sweetness and I get the cocoa beans. I do.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Well, and I guess, you know what? To accurately judge this, we need to look up every stone fruit in existence, because that's probably a lot. So maybe there is a stone fruit out there that that's the smell. So what should we get on the taste bee?
They tell us we should have brown sugar, maple, and spice with the finish of creamy dark chocolate, a long, silky finish.
This sounds delicious, like dessert in a glass. Let's give it a try. Definitely get the chocolate.
So for all the people...
It is creamy.
So all the people who wanted to burn us for what we said about makers...
Please leave us alive until you see this episode.
Because that is really good.
That is so tasty.
Ooh, that is good.
Man. Heart release, you have our heart.
That's good. Definitely
Come on, do the heart with me. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. That's half a heart.
There.
That'll work. All right, this is so tasty. I'm a fan.
So the silky, creamy dark chocolate comes through. It is not...
Nailed it.
So Old Forester, they're... I can't remember, the 1910? The 1910 and the 1920 both are chocolatey. One is dark, and one is
more of milk.
One is more of milk, but they have a lot. They're obviously rye forward. Mm-hmm. So this gives you kind of that similar profile without the rye.
Without the rye.
That's where I'm going with that.
Yes.
Is that this is not a competitor, but you're getting some of that chocolate note without the spice.
The chocolate is at the forefront here. There's a bitterness at the end, but it's a pleasant chocolate type of bitterness. At the forefront, I'm trying to see if I kind of do get a little bit of that brown sugar maple.
Well, you got a sweetness. Mm-hmm. And what you're getting at the end...
I think more brown sugar. Your
tail has a little bit of that on the top palate. Mm-hmm. You get a little of that bitterness that chocolate gives you.
Yes, absolutely. I like the mouthfeel. Creamy was an apt description. I like the proof point. And I think it yet again says for us that maybe we like makers that are a little higher proof point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this one was what, 111.7? Yep. 0.7 is important.
0.7 is very important.
I'd hate to leave off the 0.7. That is correct. I really enjoy that.
So I was about to make a comment, an observation.
Please.
But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till after we sample the other.
Can you remember that long?
Yes, I'm not that old yet.
I don't know. My memory's been pretty crappy lately.
So let's talk about. We're gonna rate this. That's tough for me. I'm gonna tell you right now because it's pretty darn good. Now I can wait. We can wait if you want because we got two to taste.
Let's wait because they're both limited release.
But we're not saying that one's gonna be better than the other.
No,
they might tie.
But I'm gonna wait on this one.
Sounds good.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's fine with me. We drink bourbon. All right. So now that we have done the heart, we are now going to the Keeper's Release. Now it's from 2025 and it pays tribute to the warehouse team, the unsung heroes who rotate the barrels to ensure consistent aging. So this is really, if you're watching The Office, we're down in the warehouse now.
These are the keepers of the
That's
bourbon.
right.
Or whiskey. They keep it safe.
Yep, absolutely.
Also,
Daryl.
Yeah, this is Daryl's. This is Daryl's bourbon from The Office.
Except they suck less than Daryl.
I like Daryl.
Oh, no, not Daryl. I was thinking of Pam's boyfriend. That was not Daryl. What was his name? Or fiance? Was it Rob or something?
Oh,
Roy.
Roy.
Yeah, not him. Daryl was great.
Yeah, he got fired after he punched
He did.
Jim.
Well, Jim might have earned that punch a little bit.
A little bit.
Anyway, also incidentally, if you're also a crossover true crime fan like me, The Keepers is one of the best true crime documentaries I have ever seen. It's on Netflix.
Roy in real life is supposed to be a super nice guy and a really good actor.
Oh, yeah.
But he's...
We've seen him in several things.
Yeah, but in his interviews...
Isn't it Chris Pratt?
No. You're
Chris
thinking...
Pratt was in the
that's
Parks
in
and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Yes, you're right.
Roy, now if you want to go back to Roy's glory days, he was in The Replacements. He plays the deaf football player in The Replacements with Keanu Reeves and that hot
That's
chick.
right.
And that hot chick.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the hot chick in that?
In The Replacements?
God, she's hot.
It's Keanu Reeves, and who is she? Didn't do a whole lot after
No,
that.
she didn't have to. We could just watch that.
She's one of the ones that when we got in our pixie cut argument, she came up as like one of your exhibit A's.
She's when she's driving that Jeep. Oh my Lord!
Her real name is Brooke Lang.
She really hadn't done
Langton?
anything since then.
She played Annabelle.
Brooke, if you'd like to come on the show, especially if you still got that pixie cut, I got a spot for you.
Anyway, back to the true crime documentary. You want to talk about that
Bourbon,
more?
Tortured Bourbon. The proof on this is 109.2 with the mash bill, same mash bill, 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. And once again, we're coming in at that $75. Now tell us about the staves in this. No virgins in here.
No, there are no versions here. There are no virgins here. It's a different version. So there are 2 types of toasted American oak staves. And then half the batch is finished for 5 weeks, the other half for 9 weeks, then they blend it.
Now the tasting notes, according to Maker's Mark, we should get some seasoned oak, a brulee sugar, and tobacco.
There's a definite sweetness at the front.
That is the aroma. You didn't specify it was the aroma, so I wanted to specify it.
Thank you, producer Katie. That should be the aroma. Swish and flick that we should be getting.
Key tip, if we're sticking our nose in the glass, it probably means we're smelling it. Pro tip.
I get the brulee sugar.
Absolutely. There's a distinct sweetness. I almost get a brown sugar, which I guess tracks.
Great song, Rolling Stones. Look it up.
The tobacco comes in at the very end.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Almost like an afterthought.
So what should we get on the taste? Because I really want to taste this.
I know you do. I can tell. So I'm going to drag this out as long as possible.
That's great.
It should be bold and have toasted oak, which again, that's kind of a gimme. It literally ages in an oak barrel. And some subtle sweetness. The finish should be long and enveloping with notes of dried dark fruit and a little bit of roasted sweetness.
I really thought we'd get tobacco. For smelling tobacco, I thought we would be tasting tobacco.
Maybe
but
we
see.
will, and we can write him a letter. That's a unique front flavor. Not in a bad way, but it's the first pop is a little bit unique.
I get the roasted sweetness. Mm-hmm. I get the roasted sweetness on the finish. I'm excited. I got something that it says that we should get. That's fantastic.
But go back to the front, and like the second it hits your tongue, like it's a kind of a unique, like it's not straight caramel or straight vanilla. No, it's a fun pop of flavor.
So this you get a nice little spice if you hold it on the front tip and on the top palate. But it's kind of like just a ding.
Right.
Just kind of like, hi.
Hi.
No, don't do that there. Don't do that there.
Ticklish.
Don't do that. I specifically used your shoulder, so nope. That's better.
Okay.
Just, hi. There used to be a commercial. Was it the VW Beetle that was hi? Or was it the iMac that was hi? I don't know. Anyways, they had the same marketing people, I think.
Honestly, they had to because it's
Yeah.
so similar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good. So what else do you
Anyway,
get? What else do you get?
like B said, that very initial, there's a pop of spicy sweetness, but like more like a baking spice sweetness. Don't think pepper, like black pepper,
No, it's
spicy.
hi.
It is. It's a nice little hi. We're there. It's a fun pop of flavor to start you off. And then the roasted sweetness is a very good description. There is a fruitiness there. I don't know if I would have identified it as dried fruit specifically, but there's some fruitiness throughout.
But I get that roasted sweetness. I get that. I see where they're going with that. That's really good. So here was that deep thoughts by B.
Oh, Lord.
While we don't necessarily like their 90 proof basic,
Right.
what they have there is a beautiful palette.
A beautiful base.
Beautiful base to experiment and do. So I'm going to postulate that the reason people are fans of makers is actually this stuff, right? They drink the base, they like the base, they buy the base, but this is what they're searching for. Their finishing series, their unique series. That's the stuff that drives people to makers. Because that's their way of pushing the envelope. Where you have others that push the envelope in different ways, these guys are dumping stuff in the barrels. Now, who else?
And they're doing it pretty consistently and constantly.
And who else do we really like that does that? 2XO.
Yeah, 2XO does that.
2XO does that.
Bardstown too, to an extent.
Bardstown to an extent, but they play with mash bills all day long in blending. What these guys are doing
is taking the same base layer.
They're taking the same base and they're doing
aging.
So I think that's what gives them the uniqueness, and I can see why. And not that I'm in the business, but if I'm Beam Suntory, and I'm looking at my catalog, Beam does a lot with the same mash bill, a lot of aging changes. That Knob Creek that they got going on, where they go to 7, 9, 12, 2,000, whatever the heck they can get out of that. They got their Baker's 7, and they got their Baker's 13. So they've got their aging thing going, right? Obviously, you got Jim Beam.
Well, yeah.
You've got your mixer. So then what do you want to put in there? Well, you want to put something in there that's playing around with something a little different. So you want to get that finishing in. So I see why, if you look at their portfolio, this is a nice addition.
Yeah.
I realize it was a while ago, but I'm talking about why.
Well, and these are very recent, and it's letting you jump on trend too. Because right now,
absolutely,
stave finishing is such a thing. It's letting you jump on trend, and I think you articulated through that your deep thoughts with B. Again, what makes bourbon fun is that there's so many different ways to play off your base. Whether it be, we're going to play with aging. We're going to play with the type of barrel that it finishes in. We're going to put different types of oak staves in the middle of it.
Drop virgins right in.
We're going to just drop a virgin right in the middle. And that makes it really fun and interesting and cool, is that you can say, somebody could come over. In fact, we know someone you're close to that loves makers. And he can come over and he can say, I'm a makers guy, I love makers. And we can say, we've got that, but let's bust out some of these fun limited releases. Let's do a taste test. Let's see which one's your favorite. And that makes it fun. And
then in our series where you can dial up which staves you want.
That was
that's so
cool.
fun and so cool. So there's, if I remember correctly, there's 1,001 combinations.
That's
you can
exactly
get. Now,
right. Yeah.
I can't get 1,001 different taste profiles, but I can't. But you can get, obviously some massive variety. So I think that's what sets, for me, makers apart. When you're talking about your big brands on the shelf, right? When you go and you see, okay, so you got Elijah Craig, and you got Makers, you got Buffalo Trace. On the shelf, yeah, right.
Well, it kind of is now, and they just still refuse to call it not allocated.
Yeah, and you could put Larceny in that, but that grab level,
your Wild Turkey, there too.
So
your base,
right. So when you're looking at those, what makes Makers unique, and that's where Makers does it a little different, to me.
No, I think you're right, and I think that's also indicative, though, of the bourbon boom and the need to set yourself apart. Yeah. We are no longer where we were 20 years ago, when you could just have your base product and that was enough to keep a loyal following and to keep making money. Everyone had to start finding ways to distinguish themselves, and they have done a good job.
Excellent.
Good job.
But they've carried over their packaging.
Yeah. They've kept what they needed to keep. Well, because why? You're never going to give up that brand recognition, because that's crazy. When you've got such a distinguishable packaging, you would never give up that advantage. But they're doing something cool with it. So a little old and a little new.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a winning combo when it comes to bourbon. So we'll see. If they declare bankruptcy tomorrow, we know nothing.
If Beam Suntory declares bankruptcy tomorrow,
we're all screwed.
You can go ahead and turn the lights out. You can just take those sawbucks, those nice dollar bills, and you can use them to heat the house. Because, yeah, I mean, even in a flat market, even in a world where people are drinking less, they're still doing a lot of it. You know, when I go up to the ABC store, I'm never in there by myself.
Alone.
I'm never alone. I never have the store to myself. I can go. And let me tell you, if you go up first thing in the morning, that's when, like on a Wednesday, that's when you find some interesting people in this world.
There's still people there.
Right? I mean, we might be there on a day off to see if that was a drop. There's some other people there with a shopping cart. And
that's just their weekly trip.
I'm just curious, what is it you need with the shopping cart on a Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. in the liquor store?
You're putting in handles of like the base vodka and the base tequila.
No one needs that much base Colonel Taylor, Kentucky Gentleman, or
right.
High 10.
You're gonna ruin my happy bourbon palate right now talking about this stuff. So we can't leave this episode without ranking. And they are both hush your mouth for me.
Okay. That first one comes really close for me for Cock of the Walk.
He's like faulting my own brain.
I'll go with hush your mouth. Both of them. High hush your mouth. Unique. And just such a bump up.
Yeah.
From their.
And I think that maybe
base.
is why your initial instinct was Cock of the Walk was because it's such a bump up.
But
for you personally.
Yeah, but I really that flavor this is so different from their base.
Yes, it is.
So very exciting.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Gonna look for that on the secondary.
Ooh.
See what's out there.
Yeah, but we never pay too much of a markup. Don't get crazy.
Up in the special rig house. The special warehouse.
In the cool rig house.
That's right.
All right. So we're not done with makers, by the way.
We got a whole nother episode.
We got more coming for you.
We have rounded up the makers. Like, woohoo!
Literally, just like that. Lasso and everything. But until then... I'm sorry. I think B is internally living out his cowboy dreams.
I got a good night's sleep, and that's rare. So,
until next time.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.